Chapter 8. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of peace. My midnight conversation with Aunt Jean was still buzzing in my head, replaying the things she said. Was I brave? Was I selfish? Was I smart? I had never considered how I might make an impact on the world, only how the world was impacting me, how the girls at school treated me, how I was lonely most of the time, how I didn't have what other people had. But I now had an opportunity to think differently. I went downstairs to find my mom and aunt sitting at the table. They were watching a blue jay on the feeder out back, their heads moving in the same motions, following the bird as it fluttered from one spot to the next. I wanted to be like them. Good morning, I said, hugging them both. Morning, baby, my mom said. We wanted to talk to you a little bit today. I sat down at the table with them. Aunt Jean is officially moving in. She's going to help out. It'll be really nice to have her here, especially when you go back to school. What about Alvaro? I asked, tripping over the rolling cadence of his name. Al is making plans to move here too, Jean chimed in cautiously. He will be here in a few weeks. I thought about what it'd be like to have a man around the house. I had never known any man very well. I was nervous, but I needed to embrace the change. The baby is going to need a room, I said. She can share with me. That is so thoughtful of you, Sadie, Aunt Jean said. I think she'll be okay in my room for a while, but we'll think of something. Aunt Jean and I are going to an appointment today, my mom added. Think you'll be fine on your own here? Absolutely, I said, thankful for an opportunity to be alone. I went out in the woods that day, hoping I might find Callie. I clutched the soft rabbit's foot in my pocket, which she and I had come to believe through one of our stories was a lucky talisman. As long as I had it with me, we would find each other. It would always bring us back together. Sure enough, when I reached the creek, Callie was waiting. Hi, I said cheerfully. Hello, she said. She didn't look so great. What's wrong? I asked. It's my mom, she said, crying. They told me she's gone. We hugged for a while, and I tried to think of what to say. I wanted to know the facts. Did she run away? Callie sniffed. I don't know. All they said was that she's not coming back, ever. I wondered what kind of mother would leave her child. I thought about how some animals, if you touch their babies, the mother won't come back. But what does the mother fear? Is it that she will be risking her own life if she stays? Is she afraid the human will come back for her baby and hurt her? Or is it just that the baby is changed now, something less recognizable, something startling and unknown? Maybe she feels like she can't care for it anymore, like she's incapable of loving something that's been changed by the outside world. Well, you still have me, I told Callie. I'm not going anywhere. Callie continued to weep. She looked so small, I couldn't help but cry with her. We don't need to play today. We can just sit here and listen. Listen? I said, scooching close to her. To the birds. Let's see how many we can count. She nodded, and we both looked up at the sky. We heard the rapid-fire chatter of finches, the rattling squawking of crows, the echoing jays, all creating a symphony above us, soothing our aching hearts, the best kind of medicine. After some time, she turned to me and said, Do you ever think about running away? No, I said, thinking back to my conversation last night with Aunt Jean. I want to be here. I don't want to miss a thing. She still loves me, doesn't she? Callie said after some time, looking lost in thought again. My mom? Of course she does. You know, I think about my mom leaving too, I said, not believing I just said it out loud. She's really sick. I'm sorry. Callie hugged me tightly. Maybe my mom was sick too. Maybe she left so she can go get better. Maybe, I said. I felt like crying but couldn't. It was like my body wouldn't let me. Callie's face twisted. Or maybe she died. Don't think like that, I told her, but it didn't seem to slow her train of thought. Where do you think moms go, Callie asked, when they die? I think moms go somewhere really pretty with lots of flowers and babies everywhere, so they don't miss their own. That sounds nice, Callie said, no longer crying. I hope your mom gets better. Me too, I said. I know I have to be brave, but it's hard. You don't have to be brave. You can just be sad like me. She was right. I could just be however I needed to be. I could even cry if I wanted to. I could even scream. And then I did. I screamed so loud I was clearing the entire forest around me. The finches and jays all flew with abandon. Then Callie joined me and gave her own powerful roar. We stood up, hollering at the treetops together like two wolves lost from their pack. I didn't care if someone heard us. Let them listen. When my voice finally cracked, I began to laugh, and Callie did too. I tried to catch my breath, letting my body release the energy. Tears dried on Callie's flushed face. Then she screamed once more, so piercing I could sense the pain inside of it, and she fell down crying, her anguished little spirit incapable of any more hurt. I hugged her desperately, hoping she would stop. Callie, it's okay. You're going to be okay. I know, she said between sniffles. I just needed to let it out. Me too. You're brave, Sadie. You will get through it too. You are much braver than me. We collected ourselves for a moment. You know, I think you are my best friend, I said. You're my best friend too, she said in the smallest voice. Can I tell you a secret? Yes. Sometimes I think I don't know how to pretend anymore, I admitted. It's like my brain forgets how, and I've been struggling to get it back. What do you mean? I mean, I can't always see what you see. I can't see the village. I can't see the bad guy. I can't follow the toads. I can't believe juice can be tea. I can't even imagine myself being anything other than what I am. I used to be able to, but hard as I try, as much as I love our stories, that's all they are. It's like something is broken in me, like I can't pretend anymore. That's because you're big, she said in her practical way. What? I asked her. You're older. You're kind of in the middle, but you're not little like me. I thought about it for a moment. Perhaps the loss I was feeling for my imagination, for the way things used to be, was just part of growing up, of becoming older. But I still wanted to feel like I used to feel for just a little while longer. Callie, do you think if I think my mom will go to a happy place with flowers and babies, like if I believe it, then that's where she'll go? Yes, I sure do. But what if it's not real? Callie looked hurt. But what if it is? Sometimes I forgot how much younger than me she was. It's real then. Everything is real, she said with might. I just want to know for sure, I said. You don't know anything, she teased. You're right, I don't know anything except what is right in front of me, like you. And like you. Together we named all the things we knew. Callie knew the birds above us were finches. She knew the water in the creek was cold. She knew that the forest was alive and would protect us. I knew all that too, but I also knew my mom was sick and Callie's mom was gone. I knew we were both growing up. I knew things were changing. I knew I was brave and strong. I knew I wasn't alone. I knew she was my best friend, and I knew I was hers. That night, I wanted to be with my mom. I'd been avoiding her since the night she got back from the hospital. I didn't want to confront the new pill bottle or the cane or the fact that Aunt Jean and her baby and Al were all going to be living here with us in this tiny old house. Mom, are you scared? I asked her, laying down next to her in her bed. She looked at me with her soft emerald eyes that so perfectly matched mine. No, not really, she said, knowing exactly where my mind was. What do you think will happen next? She pondered the question for a moment. I think it doesn't matter. All I know is that my life here with you is beautiful, and when it ends, I'll be happy for every moment of it. When I go, or where I go next, is out of my control, isn't it? But what about me? I asked. Where will I go if you leave? Well, honey, where do you want to go? I don't know. I don't want to be like Grandma Samantha. I don't want to be sad my whole life. My mom inspected my features like she was trying to decipher my thoughts. Sometimes I forget how much you've grown up. We were silent for a moment. I wondered if she was thinking about her own mother. You know, she said, I don't know if your grandma recognized she was loved or if that was enough. She didn't realize her own strength and capabilities. She was always trying so hard to be something she wasn't, changing her emotions to be what she thought we needed her to be the perfect mother. In the few memories I have of her, she was mostly angry. She wanted to be doing the opposite of whatever it was she had in front of her. She couldn't make peace with anything, and I think she bore responsibility for things that were out of her control, like my little brother passing away. I know she blamed herself. It was obvious in every action she took, but there was something deeper to her guilt, a restlessness and a fear that I think were with her long before any of that happened. My mom adjusted her pillow and weakly laid her hands out in front of her. You know, there was also a beautiful lesson in all of that, too. I saw very clearly that I could go down the same path. I could try to right the wrongs, or I could accept what I had been given. So I chose to accept her death a long time ago. And when I found out I was pregnant with you, I accepted that as well. Now I've accepted this disease. Her words trailed off and she hesitated. And I've accepted that your father left. Do you miss him? I asked. No, I don't know if I miss him. I think I just saw the struggle I would have to endure taking care of you on my own. It made me angry. I accepted that we fell out of love. I accepted that it wasn't meant to be. but it upsets me that you don't get to have the same kind of closure, that you're left wondering, and I worry about it all the time. I want you to have a wonderful life, and I want you to see that these things that are happening aren't things you have to fix. Some things are just out of your control. The conversation so closely mirrored what my Aunt Jean had said the night before. Faced with an impossible set of circumstances, they both chose a different path to survive. I thought about the wood frog and how it survived the winter. Its entire cellular structure froze over, even its eyes. Its heart stopped beating. Its brain stopped sending signals. It didn't let in a single breath. The frog allowed winter to run its course as ice swirled through its veins. It knew, deep down, that nothing was permanent, even death. But there were some animals that didn't even attempt to stick it out. The goldfinch flew thousands of miles away, sometimes all the way to Mexico just to avoid the cold, to chase the sunshine. My mom and Aunt Jean simply chose different ways to adapt. My mom chose to hunker down and wait for better days. My aunt chose to fly away. But all at once, spring returned, and so did both of them. Despite their long, challenging journeys, both of them woke up in this house this morning. Both found their own kind of peace with the past. I found comfort in that, as if neither was the right or wrong way to cope, that there were no mistakes or missteps. They were both just doing the best they could with the situation they were given, and everything ended up being okay. Mom, I think I do want to meet him. She looked at me with such love that I knew this decision didn't hurt her, but released her. I will think about it, she said.